Welcome back, friend. I knew this day would come.
Welcome back, guys. We are going over some breaking news today. Antonio Brown was released from the Oakland Raiders. I would say that is a surprise to a lot of people. I'm not one of them. I tweeted out 2 days ago that I wouldn't be surprised after the suspension voids the guarantees in his contract that he is made available to the market. So if you guys aren't following me on Twitter, you need to be for insight just like this. I didn't draft him in any of my leagues. Totally stayed away from him. Did not want to take the risk, and personally, obviously it's not worth it. So somebody that was being drafted as high as he is only going to have a bigger negative impact on your teams this year. So hope you didn't draft him. Hope he's not on your roster. But the gist of how it happens was Brown posted on Instagram that he wanted to be released, and it's been a mess from the beginning, man. There have been issues with helmet. There have been all sorts of problems at camp, and then he got into it with Mike Mayock. Words were exchanged, and supposedly he called him a cracker, kicked the ball, and told him to fine him for that as well. So it's just ridiculous, man. I'm convinced that Antonio Brown has CTE from that hit from Vontaze Burfict last year, and there's a couple screws loose in the old noggin. But so now we look at how the Oakland Raiders are going to be without Antonio Brown, and it's really a downgrade for the whole team. I mean, you have one of the best wide receivers in the NFL on your roster. Couple screws loose or not, the man can run routes better than pretty much anybody else. So you know what? It upgrades his fellow wide receivers. A pretty big increased opportunity for Tyrell Williams, maybe even a couple other guys like Darren Waller, J.J. Nelson, and Ryan Grant. But I'm actually really excited to see what the bump does for Josh Jacobs. A lot of quarterbacks, when they don't have a great wide receiving option, tend to lean more on the dump-off passes to the running backs, which would give Josh Jacobs a pretty big value in PPR. But you look at the other wide receivers that are there. Tyrell Williams had a career year last year, 69 receptions for 1,059 yards and 7 touchdowns on 119 targets. And that was actually in 2016. And then he kind of had some problems with all the mouths to feed in Los Angeles and ended up getting traded over here. I think that he could be, an upside wide receiver 3. I'm pretty excited about him more than anybody else on this roster. If you're in a tight end premium league or something like that, maybe Darren Waller would be an option for you. But I tried to stick with one of the top 5, top 6 tight ends, so I don't have to stream the position. And then you have the other guys like J.J. Nelson and Ryan Grant, who are, probably more in the 40 to 50 reception, 500 to 600 yard, 4 to 5 touchdown range. Probably going to be more of like an upside wide receiver 5 than they would be anything else. And I'm not sure that this actually gives them a bunch more value. The only positive, I guess, would be Ryan Grant's probably going to be the one that is replacing Antonio Brown on the outside. But, we'll have to see how it shakes out. But the real question now is, what team does Antonio Brown go to? And I have 4 teams that I think would be a good fit for it, for him. And, you got to see which teams are willing to take the risk. Of course, this news just broke this morning. But my 4 teams that I think that he might potentially go to are all teams that are positioned and trying to make a run at their respective divisions and at the Super Bowl this year. The Carolina Panthers, I think that pairing him up with Cam would be great. The only problem is they don't have a ton of cap space this year. They have about $4 million left as far as I'm aware, so they would either have to sign him with, kind of some more upfront money in signing bonuses so that it doesn't absolutely destroy what cap space they have left, or they extend a deal out for a couple years. It's possible they get him, somewhat cheap too, since, the Raiders basically covered a portion of the contract minus the guarantees. But the Green Bay Packers are the second team. They were really, really interested in Antonio Brown in free agency. It was it was quite apparent that they were going to try to make a run for him. And, they were kind of getting their front office together, getting the new head coach settled and everything like that. They've got a little over $10 million left in cap space, so I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to make a move for AB, as long as that's something that Matt LaFleur is willing to take over. And the other two teams that I have, one might surprise you since they just traded for Kenny Stills, but the Houston Texans. So I really feel like the Houston Texans are just trying to play for the here and now. They're punting the future, and I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up adding Antonio Brown to their roster, simply because they have $32 million worth of cap space left, and they're trying to win right now. So it would be a good move for them to have Antonio Brown opposite DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller. I can't say that I actually see him going there, but it's kind of a longer shot of the three. And then the last one, which is probably one of the more interesting ones considering they don't throw the ball very much, is the Baltimore Ravens. So they've got $9.2 million in cap space this year, and they effectively have no starting wide receivers. They have Marquise Brown, a.k.a. Hollywood, who was a rookie draft pick this year. They've got Willie Snead, who's a bit washed up and has moved around from New Orleans, in a couple of different places, but they don't really have a good target there besides Mark Andrews. So I could definitely see him going over there and getting a decent deal, maybe a 2-year deal or something along those lines, to be able to provide a couple of options for Lamar in the passing game. So time will tell, but really exciting times. Fantasy football is right around the corner. All of our games are on tomorrow, and we will be doing a Stardom Situm Twitch stream tonight. Twitch.tv/Chuck Nasty at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on today, Saturday, 9/7. So hopefully we will see you guys there, and we will see where Antonio Brown lands. Have a good one.
Guess we'll see you around.
All right, check you later.